This story begins with a middle school boy named Yusuke, a lonely and distant teenager who avoids people and spends nearly all his time playing online games, believing that staying alone is easier than facing the world. Yet one sudden moment changes everything when he is summoned to another world, and for a second he thinks this might finally be his chance to become a hero, just like in the anime and games he watches. But instead of gaining incredible strength, he receives powers that are painfully weak, and even so, he is told that he must complete missions if he ever wants to return home, and whether he survives or dies will depend entirely on what he does next. Anime opens as Yusuke fights countless monsters by himself and defeats them one after another, before the scene shifts back to Tokyo, where he walks to school like any other day, living through a normal routine until his teacher asks him to submit an application form because he runs fast and would surely excel in the track team. Yet Yusuke quietly tells himself he does not care about school and only wishes to stay alone, while the teacher gently advises him to make friends and find someone he can open up to, asking him to bring the form the next day. But the moment the teacher leaves, the world around Yusuke suddenly changes, and without warning he is transported elsewhere, falling from the sky into water, confused and overwhelmed, only to see monsters approaching him, and by pure luck he escapes, finding himself standing on strange land that feels exactly like a video game, where he meets two classmates, Shindo and Hozuki, who had been summoned before him, and Shindo quickly explains that a strange being with half a face will appear, and that he must not be afraid. But before he can fully understand, a mysterious entity appears behind him, introducing itself as the Game Master, faceless and speaking in an unsettling tone, declaring that they have 14 days to complete a major request for a village through 8 steps, and with each mission a new member will join until they become 10, and after every task they will earn a reward. Then he spins a wheel that determines their professions, revealing Shindo as a mage and Hozuki as a warrior, and Yusuke expects something powerful, imagining himself as the destined hero. Yet the cruel twist is that he receives the profession of farmer, one of the weakest roles in the game, and their first mission is to kill goblin-like creatures. So Yusuke tries attacking them with his weak weapons, but he struggles while Shindo uses her magic skillfully, and Hozuki supports her until Yusuke is struck down and dies, only to return to life 30 seconds later. And once he realizes this, he uses that advantage intelligently to defeat the monsters and complete the mission, learning that if they all die in the game, they will die in reality as well. And their reward allows them to ask the Game Master one question, but before they can rest, a giant goblin attacks his classmates and fatally strikes Shindo, devouring her so she does not revive. And Yusuke understands that if the goblin eats them, they cannot return, so he grabs Hozuki and flees, reaching a village where he realizes he cannot defeat the goblin yet, and Hozuki is too weak, and the village chief insists they must defeat the monster to save the village. So Yusuke decides to leave Hozuki there and train by hunting weaker monsters nearby. And as he fights, he briefly drifts into memories of his past before snapping back to reality and continuing. Yet one escaping monster prevents him from finishing his goal, and suddenly he receives notice that Hozuki has died even though she was in the village. So he rushes back only to find the village burning and empty, discovering a recording where Hozuki tells children she is ill and cannot move well, crying because she feels like a burden. Then the goblin appears and she fights to protect the villagers but dies and is eaten. And when the goblin sees Yusuke, it chases him, and he runs, but realizes running solves nothing. And along the way, he kills a small monster, freezing time, as the Game Master appears to inform him he has reached level 10 and will change professions every 10 levels, spinning the wheel again to grant him the role of cook, which seems weak until he notices he now has a knife, and with one precise strike he cuts open the goblin's stomach, freeing Shindo and Hozuki, who revive, and the three of them unite, dying multiple times yet refusing to give up until they finally defeat it. And after completing the mission, the Game Master reappears, allowing Yusuke to ask a question, and recalling his classmates' previous questions, he realizes someone from the future chose them, so he asks what happens at the final step, and the Game Master shows them their own world being destroyed by a massive monster, and without warning, they are returned to their original world, where Shindo explains time had stopped while they were gone, and the next mission will come in weeks, thanking Yusuke for giving her hope and asking him to walk Hozuki home. Yet that night, the Game Master calls again, assigning him to find their fourth partner, and when he arrives, he discovers it is a girl being bullied and filmed by others. And after thinking carefully, he decides the only way to stop them is to smash their phones, risking losing himself, but he does it and saves her. And 2 weeks later, they return to the virtual world where the girl, named Yuka, joins them as a fire mage, and this time their revival time increases to 40 seconds, and the new mission is to deliver supplies to Thunder Village within 40 days while covering 5% of the map. So Shindo suggests splitting up to explore more area, but suddenly a giant insect appears, releasing swarms that attack and kill them one by one. Yet Yusuke calmly finds a strategy, relying on Hozuki's weapon to defeat the giant insect. And afterwards, Shindo remembers when she was young and befriended an older girl who suffered from bullying, blaming herself when that girl took her own life. And she wakes crying, asking Yusuke to stay by her side because in this world she feels alone without her friends. And the next day they visit a nearby nearby village only to learn it has been abandoned for 5 years. And when Yusuke asks about Thunder Village, he is shocked to learn it is extremely far, requiring 30 days by horse and 3 times longer on foot. But they are told about a martial arts tournament nearby with 3 horses as the prize, so Yusuke decides they must win it while continuing to hunt monsters to level up. Yet suddenly, bandits appear, and when Yusuke wounds one, his experience decreases because he attacked a human, forcing them to flee, only to realize Shindo has disappeared, and Yusuke tells the others that as long as one of them survives, the mission can continue. So they split into 2 groups, the girls going to rescue Shindo while he continues alone, unaware that the bandits have captured them too and imprisoned them with Shindo in the same place. And the tension quietly tightens as their situation grows darker and far more dangerous than before. At first, it feels like Yusuke is finally getting used to surviving in this strange world, but the road keeps twisting in ways he never expects. Because time moves on and he continues walking alone, hunting more monsters and stacking up experience, and then he earns a new job as a mage. Yet even that doesn't impress him because in his head, it still sounds like another weak role that won't save anyone. And even so, he heads to the tournament, and there he gets killed. And the moment he revives again, he runs into a girl named Kahaval. So with no time to waste, he tells her straight that he needs 3 horses to reach Thunder Village within 35 days, and that he will do any favor she wants in return. And she calmly answers that if he helps her kill huge monsters known as trolls, she will give him 1 horse. And then Yusuke pushes further, offering to also help her reach the bandits' hideout. And she agrees but warns him that he needs training first. And that night he studies the map in his hands and sees where his friends are, trying to plan a route to the bandits. But then, as if the world is testing him for even thinking things might go smoothly, a troll suddenly appears right in front of them, and Kahaval grabs her absurdly long sword and rushes in with confidence, yet she can't bring it down. So Yusuke thinks fast and uses a mage trick to distract the beast. And the moment it slips up, he finishes it cleanly, saving the girls and telling them he lost the tournament, but managed to secure 1 horse. And then Kahaval declares she will join them for this mission, taking leave from her father and bringing guards. But only on 2 conditions. When they reach the village, she will take the horse from them, and they must allow her to train them in sword fighting, and they accept. And as they travel, we learn more about Hozuki, how she was forced away from sports because everyone saw her as a failure, when the truth is that she is sick, and all she ever wanted was to enter pharmacy school so she could invent a medicine to heal herself and her mother, and that fear inside her only started fading when she met friends in the virtual world and finally felt like she belonged somewhere. And now Kahaval is bursting with energy, pulling the heroes into harsh sword practice day after day, using the fact they revive as a brutal advantage, because every day means more learning, more scars, and more growth, until a guard warns them that monsters are approaching, and Yusuke and the team prepare and kill them with the weapons they have. And then a monster jumps at Hozuki, and for the first time she faces her terror head-on and kills it herself. And that single moment matters because it is the first time she truly believes she can stand on her own. And later on the road, they come across a caravan of soldiers being attacked by monsters, so the team splits, and Yusuke goes with Hozuki to fight, but they keep dying over and over. And then Hozuki gathers everything inside her and for the first time uses her longsword properly, cutting the monster down. And in the chaos, a civilian child is injured, so Yusuke uses his healing ability to save him. And they learn the soldiers serve a kingdom called Diok, and they are transporting civilians labeled heretics under orders from the prince to be executed publicly because they follow a banned faith tied to a king named Arthuros. And the soldiers believe Thunder Village holds the largest number of hidden followers of that faith. And in that moment, Yusuke connects the dots and wonders if these civilians are actually the cargo they must deliver, or if they are part of the mission itself. And fear grabs him because if he helps them the wrong way, he might fail the mission completely. And then Kahaval argues fiercely with a soldier named Kamalta, the fight nearly exploding into violence, until Shindo steps in to calm them and pull them apart. And Yusuke calls his team close and tells them their goal is to deliver the supplies to Thunder Village, and it is possible the supplies are these prisoners, meaning if they cooperate with the kingdom's soldiers, the mission becomes easy. But the problem is heavy and cruel. If they deliver them to the village, the prisoners, including the child, will be executed. And Yuka thinks carefully and suggests they deliver them first to clear the mission, then free them afterward and help them escape. And the heroes agree, and Yusuke speaks with one prisoner named Fafsel, who explains that the kingdom of Diok kills followers of Arthuros because the faith is forbidden, begging Yusuke at least to save the little child. And then Yusuke asks Kamalta why he would risk his life on a dangerous journey just to execute helpless prisoners. And Kamalta explains the prisoners come from the continent of Ajga, and since Thunder Village is the gateway to that continent, they must be executed there so the faith does not spread. And he boasts that King Diok V gave old soldiers and war orphans slaves so they could keep conquering, unify the continent, and help the people. But Yuka rejects this as tyranny and bullying dressed up as order. And the next day they reach a mountain crossing that would normally take 7 days and then 5 days more to the village. So Kamalta suggests a shortcut passage through the mountain, and everyone agrees. But the shock hits the moment they enter because Kamalta betrays them, saying he cannot cannot travel with people sympathetic to heretics, and he shuts the door behind them, forcing them into an unknown corridor while they lose the prisoners, who might have been the cargo they needed to deliver. So now the mission feels like it is slipping from their hands, and inside the passage they face mechanical traps, including swinging hammers, and Yusuke notices pillars carved with symbols and thinks hard until he realizes the hammers can be stopped by rotating the pillars, and they pass safely. But then they reach moving walls, and due to Yusuke's haste, he falls into a deep pit and gets trapped, telling the others to keep going while he finds a way out. And while he struggles, Shindo and Hozuki analyze the timing and pattern of the walls and make it through with quick thinking, and Yusuke tells them to go ahead and keep the mission alive, while he uses his weapon to dig into the wall, carving a path out to chase them. And eventually the team reaches a massive arena-like space, but then a monster appears, a gargoyle, a creature made by humans to guard the place, stepping toward them with a stare full of evil, and Kahaval realizes this will not end peacefully, and meanwhile Yusuke keeps scraping with his knife inside the pit, slipping and falling again and again, and as he fights the stone he slips into memories of transferring to a new school and feeling alone every day. Then he snaps back and refuses to surrender, and after many attempts he finally uses his special power to escape, but as he moves forward he finds a recording point and watches a message where his friends say goodbye to the warriors who died, and Kahaval decides she will take revenge for the death and kill Kamalta and the soldiers, and Yusuke remembers his final moments with them and silently mourns, while the gargoyle closes in on the others, and they battle a swarm of blood-sucking bats and kill them, then notice a key attached to the gargoyle's arm and realize they need that key to escape. So Kahaval asks Shindo, because she is good at aiming, to strike the monster accurately, and Shindo remembers her school sports days and her confidence rises. But then, with no warning at all, the gargoyle lunges at Kahaval and tears her with a deep wound, and she falls into the water and none of them can reach her, and for a crushing second they think she is dead, and Shindo hesitates, shaking because facing the monster alone feels impossible. Yet by luck, she steps on a bat and kills it, reaching level 10, time freezing as the game master appears, and Shindo screams at him that if he had shown up earlier, she could have saved Kahaval, but the game master ignores her anger, spins the wheel, and her new job becomes sword warrior, and she uses the frozen moment to approach the gargoyle and deliver a powerful strike, but it still doesn't die, and when time resumes, the monster attacks her, and she remembers Kahaval's training, focuses her breath, and commits to a killing blow, and even though the gargoyle shatters her armor, she climbs onto its back and drives her sword through its neck into its heart, defeating it, and at that exact time, Yusuke finally reaches the team, and everyone is stunned. He escaped the pit, and when he learns what happened to Kahaval, he dives into the water and pulls her out, using healing to close her wounds, and when she wakes, she is told Yusuke used the gargoyle's blood to save her life,